everybody? It's Jeremy Greider, your e-commerce redneck, and I'm here today with Tommy Stalknecht, and he is the CEO of Single.xyz. And guys, there is once in a long while that I see a software that I just go, dang, that's awesome, And this was one of those. I'll let him get into it a little bit, but I'm super excited to have him on the show. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Tommy, how are you doing, man?
Good. How you doing? Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. We met, I guess, a couple of years ago. One of the guys that was working with you actually introduced us, and me and my partner, Zach Loy from Buzz Token Media, and I was just absolutely blown away by the capabilities of Single.xyz. But why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what it is that you do with Single.xyz and why it's so significant?
In short, we've created a digital content platform for Shopify, and so we enable storefronts to host digital content, video, audio inside of their storefront. And predominantly, we operate in the music space, and that's kind of how we got started. And I'll give the background, but kind of the way that Single has evolved into is become this one-stop shop to enable you to build out things like memberships, subscriptions, do pay-per-view rentals, all that kind of stuff. Basically, content monetization natively inside of Shopify, directly where you're selling your merchandise or other product.
And now you've had some very big names come through. I think Harry Styles was one of them, if I'm not mistaken, and Jelly Roll, I believe I saw the other day. So there's some big names that are actually utilizing this software already. I thought it was really significant in this space because it literally takes a Shopify store that can really do none of these things very well, just like any other platform, and it makes it so utilitarian for this purpose. So, with that said, we came into communication over some things that we were wanting to do with some artists. And from your perspective, from the view of an artist, what is the most valuable things in this that it does, that it's able to do differently than anything out there?
Well, the company started it launched in 2018. We were working on it for a couple of years before that. But the idea was to be able to create initially kind of the de facto music app for Shopify, background coming from the music industry. And still the vast majority of our customers are music industry clients. And the first thing that we launched with was the ability to report album sales generated on Shopify to the Billboard charts. So that means like CDs, vinyls, cassettes, as well as hosting digital audio and kind of being a direct-to-consumer distributor. So we launched in 2018. Since then, we've reported 11 million albums to the charts.
Wow.
We're still the only app still the only app for Shopify that does that. So from a unique perspective, while we've evolved into becoming this kind of digital content layer, we still have that core reporting and music industry roots to the software. And so, yeah, we kind of enable not only for those things to count, but ideally our goal is to enable artists to put everything that they have for sale or they want to monetize in the same place, in a way that they own the brand and they own the data and they control the money. A lot of platforms that are out there, especially in the music startup world, where they're well-intentioned, but ultimately the whole idea is that they want to grow their platform as a whole and their name. Whereas we've been operating for 6 years behind the scenes in operating just behind Shopify, where it's the artist brand is front and center. And now we're enabling them to do everything from running their fan club. And obviously during the pandemic, we did a ton of ticketed live streams in the same way. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the benefits.
Talk about being right on time with live streams, man.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of jumped into it just like a lot of other companies did. I had an employee at the time that brought the idea to me, so gets all the credit. But the biggest piece was we looked at it and saw that the technology to do live streaming had effectively been commoditized already by 2020. And so that's the reason why you saw a million different live stream platforms spin up. And so
Hmm.
we saw that and said, okay, now you're effectively competing on a business model. And our goal as a company of saying, okay, you should be able to do all of this inside of your storefront, and especially where we're already operating, selling your music, then by bringing the video and live stream aspect into that, we actually built that out in like a few days, and we're
Oh
running
wow.
hundreds. And you sold like a million tickets at its heyday.
Wow. Wow. I know, one of the things I thought was really interesting too, was the community side of things, like the ability to fan club and that sort of thing. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and what that's all about and how that kind of works?
Yeah, so the progression kind of to get to the membership side, we started out doing album sales and album sale reporting, and then we added in ticketed live streaming.
Hmm.
And then we added in we had a customer, Kings of Leon. They did like a big token release, but we that wasn't our release. And when we saw that, we said, okay, that's another thing that could potentially be necessary in an artist storefront so they can sell the D2C, be it digital collectibles and tokens and things like that. And
Hmm.
so we added in that piece in 2021. And kind of over time, what we realized was what are we now that we have digital collectibles, we have this ticketed live streams, we have album sales and album sale reporting, and we started to rethink our overall business strategy to say, okay, let's turn this into kind of like a Lego block approach where you have digital content between digital audio, digital video, and then, and the audio portion of it is still definitely predominantly music, but digital audio, digital video, and you have the merchandise that's inside of this Shopify storefront. If we take the infrastructure that we've built around ticketing and downloads and Web3 token gating and now subscriptions, if we apply that as a layer that is optional above the content, then you as a merchant, artist, brand, whatever, can kind of create this Lego block of, I want to be able to do subscriptions to a library of video content. So that's memberships and that's video. Or I want to run a fan club. That's exclusive merchandise. That's some behind the scenes footage. And we started to kind of see this progression where really what you're talking about is a lot of the models that are, I want to create an SVOD platform, like I want to make my own Netflix or Amazon Prime on top of
Hmm.
Shopify, or I want to create a fan club, or I want to token gate access to a community. Ultimately it's just different ways of marketing similar technical functionality, so a subscription in front of this. So it's basically like the difference between a fan club and an SVOD platform is basically what is offered behind the subscription. And
Hmm.
in one of them, it can be products and video and access to pre-sale ticketing codes and things like that. And then the other one is just subscription access to video. But
Right.
functionally, it's the same thing. So from a membership perspective, we've been making a lot of investment as a business to say we want to be able to enable people that are coming at it that say, yeah, I want to make a Netflix like subscriptions. We've actually had a lot of people coming at us from the like fitness and wellness community where they want to build
Yeah.
out courses and things like that. So we've seen that. And then the other side of it, we're starting to push more heavily to artists to say a lot of these direct to consumer communities and things that you're trying to do, or direct to fan communities that you're trying to do in all these different places, you could also just, it's just the same thing, just different window dressing.
Right, right. Well, and the thing I love about Single XYZ, it was one of those softwares that, when we talked about it, when we started to learn about all its functionality, now it's like I see a lot of deals and a lot of projects through that lens, right? How could I use Single.xyz as a part of this to make it more interesting, more profitable? And I think that really, for me, is a big key. I think it's huge for artists and it's really huge for independent artists, I think, too. But the fact that it has so much functionality that it creates on top of the Shopify platform that it allows you to monetize in so many ways is revolutionary, I think, in a lot of ways. Shopify being such a major platform in the ecom space, it has endless opportunities in so many different verticals beyond the artist. So with that said, I kind of wonder what is some of the crazy stuff that you've actually seen done with it that maybe even you were going, oh, I didn't think of that.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because a lot of what it comes down to kind of like the content aspect of it, where what are they
Hmm.
going to do with it? So you
Hmm.
mentioned the Jelly Roll one. When we initially released the live streaming portion of it, it was only ticketed, and then when we said, okay, why don't we just remove the need to have a ticket to access something, then free live streaming inside of a Shopify storefront is just live shopping by a different name. It's
Hmm.
just a different setup. So the Jelly Roll example was him literally smoking a joint the size of my forearm on 420, and they were and his fans kind of were just talking in the chat, and that was a really cool one. One that came to us that was really awesome was the U2's management came to us to put together they wanted to do ultimately the goal of what we're trying to do in terms of like bringing content on platform is to enable you to make additional sales.
Right.
Uh, the success in e-commerce is a it's not simple, but this formula, in my opinion, is fairly simple. It's page views, average order value, conversion rate equals success. And
Right.
so, of those three metrics, the one that artists have control of is their page view count, because it's basically how you're shifting your audience into a place that's an own channel. And
Hmm.
unlike most brands, artists can say, hey, I will be here, or we're doing this thing here, come there, and the fans will follow if they have that kind of community. So with U2, when their management came to us, they basically said, we've got this vinyl that we want to be able to sell through, which is a 30th reissue, and they had remastered the special from 1993. It was for the album Europa,
Hmm.
and they said they have four different Shopify storefronts. We want to simulcast it in all four different Shopify storefronts. We want to have a unified chat across all four storefronts
Oh,
that has
wow.
like the flags of all the people that are participating, and we want to broadcast it at four different times, so they would hit prime time around the globe.
Oh,
And by
wow.
doing so, the metric was that you have we want to obviously sell through the vinyl and do this reissue merchandise, but the hook to get the fans there was come relive this special from 1993,
Yeah.
not come buy the reissue vinyl. So in that context, it ended up becoming really successful for them because they were able to move a lot of product. But the point was, to the fan side, much better experience than saying, come buy the vinyl, come watch something. And even if you could go and watch it for free on something like YouTube or elsewhere from like bootleg copies, this was a higher quality copy of it. And they're not being asked to pay for it. It's you can come watch it for free, and just the communal aspect of seeing all the flags and everything was probably the coolest piece.
Yeah. That I love I love that it's so it has so many diverse angles on it, and you've got so many customers. I urge everybody to go to single.xyz. Just look at all the examples they have from music and otherwise. It's incredible. Now with this, the original plan for this obviously was around music. Where is there anything that you can tell us about that's exciting and new, maybe that you've introduced recently on this?
Yeah, so one of the bigger things that we're pushing into is physical product subscriptions.
Hmm.
So it's still music, but we obviously can be applied much more broadly. We were approached by a label where they wanted to do subscription recurring vinyl to create a vinyl club, and
Oh,
where
cool.
we think that, and we've added that in, and it's publicly available now. You can choose what products you want to ship during a given month for any of your subscribers, and like on sign up or at renewal, and all these different functionalities of saying, okay, I've got these products and I want to gift it to those subscribers, or they're obviously paying for it. So that's one piece. But I think what actually is really cool is we are in discussions with a few different ones where they want to be able to offer a library of digital content in conjunction with a physical product subscription. And
Hmm.
where that becomes really exciting to me is that you're basically creating these micro Amazon Prime like experiences, because you've got the ability to say, okay, we'll ship you a product on a monthly basis, but we're also going to give you access to a library of content. And there's kind of like a win-win on that, where the subscriber is getting more value out of their subscription. It's not just, okay, here's something, and then I've got to wait another month before I get the value of that subscription again. and where, and then on the merchant side of things, on the person that's running the subscription, they can reduce their churn, because if you are offering people something on a more consistent basis than just on that month to month basis, then they're going to have better retention rates for those customers, because if they'll lose access to this content or whatever things you might be dropping, live streams, anything exclusive that's not just the product, vinyl or whatever.
Hmm.
So that's kind of one of the bigger ones that we recently launched. And then another one, which is way more esoteric and way more in like the music space, like very directly, is our support for fan pack reporting, which is basically merch bundling, for a lack of a different term. And for anybody non-familiar, there's different things that count on the charts Billboard and other charts around the globe. But in this case, we're talking about Billboard, and certain rules that you have to abide by, and certain qualifications in terms of like what can be sold in the same transaction. So we recently added in support for that. So now an artist can sell a T-shirt and a CD in the same transaction and still have it count on the charts within the rules.
That's incredible. I know, so many independent artists are not signing with big labels, and they're kind of doing their own thing. So to me, this really, kind of kills some of that 360 deal concept where, you lose so much of your money in trying to build your name. And the thing I love about it is, like you said, with the subscriptions and other things that you do, there's this level of stickiness that helps to keep those clients engaged, helps to keep the money coming in. And value is, kind of the key when you have, a subscription of any kind. It has to be valuable enough that you don't want to get rid of it. I know, after COVID and um, some of the way the economy has been, a lot of people cancel subscriptions. But if you have
Of
something
course, yeah.
that's constantly bringing you value, it's really hard to cancel, And when you're engaged with something like music and the artists that you love, I feel like that's hard to let go of. I've had quite a few groups, but that I've been in, and like, Patreon type stuff. But the fact that you kind of have that, but you also have all of the other things to make it sticky. I just honestly don't see why any artist that is trying to really establish themselves wouldn't be using this product. It's so easy. It makes things so much easier than they have been in the past.
Yeah, and I think that there's also an argument to be made of setting yourself up for success in the long term.
Right.
So a lot of artists, and I mean, I still see this from the major label side of things, that are driving me
Yeah.
crazy, where you have a separate website and you have a web store, because there's this connotation, or just like backward way of thinking, where you have to have those two things separate. There's tons of data that we could show that basically shows how that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And mainly it comes down to the fact that you have a separation of, if your audience is coming to say, like, look for your tour dates or something like that, and then you have a shop link in the top navigation, then what you're assuming is that the person that's coming to look at tour dates then is going to shift into a mindset of wanting to purchase, and then click to a shop thing and start perusing your products. And literally no one does that. That's not a thing that people does.
It's a
People do it.
conversion killer.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can look at SimilarWeb and look at the context of like one person's storefront and then one person's website. And you'll look at the website versus storefront traffic, and it's insane. And going back to that that page view and conversion rate, formula like I was describing, you're basically just killing your opportunity. Put your fans in the gift shop, just run your website and your web store as the same thing, and then put your tour dates maybe after like a t-shirt or two, so that way they have to scroll past a t-shirt or something like that. So that piece makes very little sense to me. And then the other side of it too, from a long-term success perspective, if you start on something like Shopify, when I started the company back in basically the idea in 2016, I looked at the Billboard Hot 100 and 200 and went down the list, and roughly 70% of the artists that were on that already had Shopify storefronts in 2016.
Hmm.
And so the idea that starting on something like Shopify and building out your customer data set and beginning to own that relationship, even as an independent,
Hmm.
you can grow that platform. Nothing's future proof, but it's as future
Hmm.
proof as anything that I've seen. So you can say, all right, I'll start here. I'll build my website here. I probably already have a Squarespace that I'm paying $26. I might just have to pay Shopify the $26 and then build it there. And then you can use Single to fill in the gaps that Shopify doesn't have natively. But the point is that by doing that, then as you grow in your career and you get to a point where you do have, say, a merch company or management or a label or something like that, you can grow into an enterprise, quote unquote, brand where the flexibility and scalability of Shopify begins to make even more sense.
Hmm.
But from a baseline entry standpoint, it's no different than using Squarespace or something.
Well, except for in my opinion, Shopify is easier than Squarespace as far as trying to get it to do things. And that's also a very big positive. It makes a lot of sense that you did this on that platform simply because ease of use, right? People don't have to be huge in technology to be able to get into a Shopify store and have a great experience and understand the UI UX is incredible and makes it super simple for that. The apps that you add and things like that, just so easy. But one thing I was going to ask you too was with these artists, what has been the response over time that you've seen from the artists? Like, it's got to be pretty incredible when they realize that they can do things that really they've been limited on in the past, and like you said, a lot of them do have those separate storefront, separate site, which really kills all that cohesiveness in between. But what are some of the things that maybe you've seen as far as reaction to the software?
Well, we have a lot of people. It's funny because a lot of the more positive reaction from an artist or
Hmm.
management perspective comes from
Hmm.
people that are more on the independent and kind of starting out side of things. Once you kind of get up the ladder, like it's not like Dave Grohl logs into his
Oh yeah,
Shopify.
he's not doing anything on that. Yeah.
No, so and a good portion of our user base are major label artists that have representation, and the merch companies that they work with absolutely love us, and we've got fantastic relationships with them. Um, so the people that are more singing the praises from an independent side, that or like, hey, this is like light bulb click and all that kind of stuff is more that level. Now, a lot of what we've done, I mean, given that we started the company focusing on closing this gap in a very like B2B SaaS for music merchandisers, here's how you report your album sales to the charts. We very much started at the top of the pyramid, if you will, in terms of the artists that we work with. And we're beginning to kind of shift our focus or expand our focus down that funnel. And so you can say, okay, look, you've got your A list, very large celebrity that's or very large artist that's probably going to make it onto the Hot 100. We've worked with them already, but we want to begin to make it easier for those artists that are going kind of bottom up, that are just starting their career and building out those communities and things like that. So this year we see as a fantastic opportunity for us to simplify our product to the point where it's even easier for any artist to use. Obviously, it benefits everybody, but we really want to make it to where artists that are just starting out, that don't have a team, don't have a lot of time, and don't have the ability to invest a lot of time because they need to make music and continue to grow their career, that we're creating a tool that's like, okay, you can plug it in and within like 15 minutes you could be running like a fan club or something like that.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of where we see a lot of opportunity. But yeah, I mean, there is a level of education of telling people like this is something that direct to consumer is what you should be doing. There's a reason why major brands have been moving in a direct to consumer direction for the better part of a decade, and the reason being is owning that relationship with your fans. So we've been preaching that since 2015 basically, but it just seems like now from a media and attention perspective that direct artist relationship is becoming to more apparent for more artists rather than just constantly seeding their audience to a place where they don't actually know who they are.
Right, right. I love the connectivity of it when it comes to that. The way that it really does increase the quality of the experience and kind of brings people so much within one site, right? There's so many different things you can do to interact with your fans, creating a package, of items together and, blocking maybe, for instance, like a collectibles area. And so, they purchase certain items, it opens up new things for them. I love that kind of functionality. And the thing is, like, on the on demand side, if you look at a lot of what's out there, like Kajabi and other things that are built for on-demand video and on-demand stuff, to me, it's the internal experience is so much better, and the fact that you get to layer that on top of such a good cart with Shopify just really it makes a huge difference, I think.
Yeah, and I mean Shopify. I mean, just was. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. The benefit of having the Shopify side is that of all the integrations that Shopify itself is doing into different platforms. I was on Spotify the other day, and Blink 182 is one of our users, and we were working their last album release, and I just so happened to realize that a digital album powered by Single through the Shopify storefront is being sold on Spotify.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was like, all right, that's wild that there's now the path of Spotify has digital albums for sale on it, and the other side of it is that they're being powered by Single is even wilder, obviously for me. But the fact of seeing that out of nowhere because of Shopify's integration to Spotify,
Right.
that the process of us being able to provide that tooling to a Shopify storefront and then Shopify doing its legwork going out to all these different platforms to create that web and different like sales channel approach has been definitely beneficial for artists.
Oh yeah. I saw that the other day. I'm an avid Spotify user, and we're actually only have our podcast right now on Spotify. And
All right.
YouTube, and then I posted on LinkedIn, but a lot, and Facebook. But it's it's incredible how, like, e-commerce is tying into so many areas, and so having a tool like that on top of having all the functionality on the website to do so much, and then even things like Printful to be able to not have to purchase all your items, and be able to do on demand, clothing and things like that, all those things create such a great atmosphere for you to be able to, with minimal upfront investment as an independent, to be able to get on and present yourself, full tilt, what people, almost an unexpected from an independent artist level of quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Tommy, it's been great having you on. I really love your software. You know how excited I am about it. We've talked about it several times, and just keep getting impressed by you. But at this time, we're about to close out, and what I like to let people do is kind of plug whatever they want right here at the end, so we can let you have the floor and just tell us what we need to know about Single.xyz, man.
If you have Shopify and you sell music, I don't know why you wouldn't already have Single on it. And if you are an artist that wants to have a website and wants to start like actually generating more revenue, I would say spin up a Shopify storefront and let's talk. So you can always find me, Tommy, at single.xyz. or just single.xyz as our website. And our team is always happy to help. And we've been doing this for a while, so we can kind of point any artist in the right direction, regardless of their size.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tommy. This has been a great one. I really love the software. I can't say it enough. It's one of the most exciting things out there. Guys, if you haven't been to single.xyz, go in there. They have demo store to be able to look at and kind of see how it works a little bit. Sign up, get in there, play with it, because it literally has so many great functionalities that I've just never seen in combination with e-commerce like this. Well, thank you, Tommy. We'll see you soon.
Thanks again, Jeremy.
All right. Thank you for watching the eCommerce Redneck Show. We're so excited to bring this to you, hopefully giving you lots of good information about e-commerce as it relates to you. If you're interested in working with me, simply go to cartconsultant.com and schedule a preliminary call for us to evaluate your needs and see how we can help you. I look forward to doing many more episodes and hopefully being a staple in your LinkedIn and YouTube feed. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Sherman County cutie with a little bit of down home. Likes her lime with a splash of so cold. If you know what I'm talking about.